We can't have two hosts or something weird.
It says recording.
Okay, I think we're good.
Okay, so we'll just have to upload it on YouTube when it's done, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me give it another minute to get started and also see if I can stop my son from screaming in the background.
I hope he's using cookies.
It's either that or ice cream.
Ice cream always works. All right, so yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. We're gonna get started in 2 minutes here. Have you guys been watching the whole Robinhood fiasco?
Absolutely.
Is it possible not to?
Right now, it's inescapable.
You know, this is gonna make DeFi explode, in my opinion. We're right on the cusp right here, right now. I mean, it's gonna be like the whole fiasco is just incredible to me.
Hey, there's going to be a little surprise coming out today, and I'm not going to spill the beans on it, but it relates to what you guys are talking about right now.
Do you have some inside knowledge?
What?
Well, it's not inside knowledge, it's inside creating it. It'll be a tweet. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
Yeah, it sounds good, Jim. We're also recording this just in case. So
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Okay, good.
You know, the tease is a very famous marketing ploy.
Yes, it's the announcement of the announcement.
Man, that's wild though. Just watching this unfold, it's incredible how much power certain, I guess, people or regulatory industries have, or I don't know. I don't even know how it went down that way.
So just quickly before we get started, my understanding is that Citadel is the ones that they injected like 2 billion or whatever into Melvin Capital, who are the guys that are shorting. But Citadel are also major backers, investors, or owners of Robinhood itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a conflict of interest there.
Yeah, huge.
That's so interesting. All right, well, we can talk about that a little bit later, but let's get started into this. We're running a little bit behind already. Thank you guys for joining already. So this is the weekly community call for YAM. As you guys know, we have one every week. Next week, same time, same place, same ugly mug. Again, this is Fedas, the operations manager. So we will get into community intros. If there's anybody that wants to introduce themselves that hasn't before on a different call, I do see a new participant. If you would like to introduce yourself, I'll give you a couple of minutes right now.
Hey everyone. This is Anjan with Parify. Super excited to be here. Been following the YAM community for some time. So yeah, just excited to be here.
Awesome, welcome.
Awesome, welcome. Thanks for joining us. So we've got two new team members that are joining YAM on a part-time basis currently. Unfortunately, they're not in this call this time, but maybe the next time we'll get them to introduce themselves. The one is Jason. Jason's going to be a front-end developer on YAM and YAM projects. And Sybil. Sybil Queen is, unfortunately, she's anon, so she won't be joining us, but if I can get her to give us a short anonymous introduction, that would be great. We'll get that from her next time. So Sybil is going to be a smart contract front-end developer on YAM projects, mostly degenerative in specific. I know that she is leading the charge to create some of the new synths that are coming up on degenerative, which is super exciting. Jono, you just joined. Would you like to introduce yourself? If not, then not a big deal as well.
Yeah, sure. I can introduce myself. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, I was talking to you guys on the group yesterday. I'm the VDM1 as my Discord handle. So yeah, I'm pretty much obsessed with DeFi and I'm wanting to build and contribute. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome. Welcome to the YAM fam. We're glad to have you. And, you know, we're growing this person by person, team by team, project by project. As you guys all know, YAM is a DAO, so it's a decentralized autonomous organization. And what we're made of is mostly all community members. So, you know, when community members lead this project forward, and you know, we're all in this together. So anybody else like to say anything or introduce themselves? You're welcome to now. Otherwise, let's get this going. Past week in governance, there's a couple of new proposals to be voted on. This is the link snapshot page. Please go vote, take a look at them. There's plenty of detail on them. I won't go into full detail on this call, but if you do have any questions, you know, feel free to ask me at the end of this section. Proposal to fund YDS. As you guys know, we've been working on YDS YAM DAO set for quite a while. It started as a purchase of DPI way back when V3 launched, and it's kind of evolved it's evolved into a collaboration with token sets. They just launched their V2 contracts, which is really cool. You should definitely check them out on tokensets.com. The functionality is not fully there yet, but they are building it. We're actually helping them build some of the potential uses or adapters that we're going to be using, that they're probably going to be using as well. So it's a very, very cool collaboration. Essentially what this allows us to do is it allows us to have a portfolio manager to actively manage a part of our treasury. We have a bunch of old forum links that you can look at in the past that kind of details out all the specifics on it. But right now what we're up to is we're up to essentially funding. We're ready to fund the YAM DAO set with the treasury. And Krugman's going to be able to go ahead and start allocating those funds into different assets. They'll be primarily our base assets, but as we move forward in YDS, we'll be adding additional contracts. Nate's going to go over those in a bit, but it's going to be really cool. Number one, it's going to be great for our treasury. Number two, there's a potential use for other DAOs in managing their treasury. Since DAOs have each have their own governance system, and it's not just one person clicking on a button on MetaMask to, you know, deploy treasury funds. YAM DAO set is uniquely positioned to offer services, potentially offer a investment management for other DAOs treasuries. So very, very cool stuff. So right now there's a proposal to fund YDS. It's 800 to 1.1 million. Please put vote. You know, right now it seems like most people are opting for 1 million of our treasury to go into this managed fund. In return, the treasury will have, you know, of course, that $1 million access, but we'll get YDS tokens into the treasury, kind of the same way DPI works, DeFi Pulse Index. Moving on, the governance system reforming guide. We talk about this every week. Ross, if you can just do a quick rundown on it at the moment.
Sure. So there's a new snapshot up to vote on for that. It's based on the same proposal that was presented last week. It is changing the requirements to submit snapshots and to create. So there's going to be two different types: a final and a signaling. So this snapshot will ratify those types, and then the requirements that are needed in order to submit them, with the signaling snapshot being 2,500 YAM and the final snapshot being 10,000 YAM, and some varying quorum requirements. So go take a look. You go to the post and also go to the snapshot, both have that information, and give them a vote. And then there should be some more governance proposals coming up probably this weekend.
Awesome. Thanks, Ross. Good work on that. As you guys know, our governance system is basically what YAM is all about. So, definitely if you have input here, please let us know. Distribution of UMA rewards and UGAS YAM Treasury liquidity mining proposal. Again, this is a proposal that's been on the forum for a minute, and it's up for snapshot now. It essentially has team recommendations on what to do for how to distribute UMA rewards. Basically, there are a couple of small decisions that we needed to make to fine tune how to grow the degenerative liquidity, or the UGAS liquidity for the synthetics. UMA is kind of, is a platform for this, but they don't have all the data and kind of the best practices yet. So they've kind of left that to us to decide how to manage reward distribution, how to manage our own treasury to liquidity mine, and also liquidation bots. So essentially, it's we're trialing and erroring some of this, and we're trying to figure out the best way to promote a healthy synthetic market. And this proposal has a couple of those pieces in it. Definitely give it a good read, because it is unique, it is interesting, it is in development, it is subject to change. So in addition, one of the things that we changed was how we distribute the rewards. So previously, we were talking to UMA team and discussed among the YAM team as well to distribute the rewards 75% to March. In this case, since it's February, or no, still January. The rewards are 75% on February, and then 25% on March. This is what we thought we were going to do, but ultimately it came down to there was a skew in moving the liquidity, so that basically January ended up with no liquidity, and it trapped some people, which caused some problems. So we reevaluated this 75-25 and just made it even across the board as a kind of a baseline, so that we can figure out future potentially modifications to this. If the baseline is good, there might be no need to modify it in the future. But long story short, if you're in any contract, January, February, or March, there is it's even rewards across all three contracts. So it really doesn't matter. It matters a little bit in terms of APY, depending on how much volume is in one, or how much the UGAS price. The higher the price of the UGAS, the higher the rewards. So besides a minor difference, basically everybody gets even rewards. So if you put your mint and LP on February, it's the same as putting your mint and LP on March. Okay, and you can see the APY calculator. It's now on the website. Moving on, I'll ask for questions at the end. YAM v2 migration, as you guys know, ends at February 15th. Feel free to let people know, just in case you are new to this and this is one of your first calls. If you haven't figured out already, YAM's rebase mechanism has been turned off via governance vote. So it's been off for a little bit. It's fixed. The scaling factor is currently fixed at 2.5 approximately. And it's off, and it's going to stay off. If you guys need to migrate, this is the link to do it. Any questions on the items above?
Yeah, I have a question about the distribution of UMA rewards. Is like let's say every dollar that is minted and LP'd gets an equal amount of rewards, or is it like by month where each month gets 33% and then you get a portion of what you have in
Good
that month?
question. It's not split 33% for each month. It's just basically wherever, whatever contract you're in, you're going to get basically the same as everybody else. So we take all the UGAS together and then just split out the rewards that way. So everything's kind of combined. Any
Got it.
questions? Does that make sense? All right. Any other questions?
Hey, Fedex, just one question on my end. You know, the UGAS product, UVault products, they're a lot of fun to use when playing around with them. And I think there's obviously a need for something in the market like this, but it still feels like the products are under the radar, even though they work well, right? And I think there's clear utility. So curious to hear like how can we really get the word out there and, you know, get people to really start using the product at scale, because it's clear there's a need for this. It's missing in the market, but I just think it's more of an awareness thing right now where people just aren't aware.
Yep, totally. We 100% agree. We have a lot of initiatives coming up that will actually help a lot in this. Right now, we're, you know, as you can tell, we're kind of experimenting and trying to figure out what the best balance of certain specifications are. We do have marketing plans coming up, degenerative websites, you know, updates, more tooling as well. And then also, it also can be a question of liquidity, meaning that if there's not enough awareness, there's not enough people minting and LPing. If there's not enough people minting and LPing, there's not going to be much trading because the liquidity is too low to adequately hedge your position. You know, we spoke to a company called Dharma about using UGAS, and essentially, you know, they use 1,000 ETH or something per month for their users, or based on their usage. So in order to hedge that position, you need at least 1,000 ETH worth, or 1,000 ETH worth of UGAS. So it's an interesting problem, something that we're working on. We've actually got some really cool ideas coming up, and we're working them out right now. So we're not going to publicly release those yet, but we do have quite a few things in the works that address this issue. But thank you for asking. Anybody else has any other questions?
Well, I just wanted to also respond to Anjan. Yeah, so we have yesterday had a meeting, brainstormed all kinds of ideas. Our main focus in marketing is all around getting the word out and building awareness around degenerative, building the degenerative brand and the messaging, call to action, etc. It's also part of a bigger agenda of brand awareness around YAM in general. So those are really strong objectives for us right now, and you'll probably start seeing some movement within a week or two.
Got it. Thanks.
All right, thanks, designer. All right, moving on. On-chain governance proposals. It's not up. Nothing's up at the moment, but this will be coming up shortly. We've got the multi-sig governance guardian that was passed through Snapshot. Just a TLDR. There is a guardian for the YAM protocol against any malicious on-chain proposals, because anybody can submit an on-chain proposal, not just the team. So there's a guardian that basically is only function is just to void malicious proposals. Of course, it needs a general social consensus before they do anything. Moving forward, upcoming governance, YAM as collateral on UMA. Ross, if you want to do a quick rundown, please.
Sure. There are 2 UMIPs that I'm working on to get both YAM as collateral on UMA, which that one's close. I basically just need to submit it. So that'll happen, if not today, by the end of this weekend. And then the other is some price, what are they called? Just price indicators for YAM also, which is part of a larger initiative to use YAM as collateral, potentially in stable coins and other products. So those are in the works and should be moving forward in the UMA governance process soon. And when that happens, there will probably be some fee requirements, and those will show up in our YAM governance process as well to get them approved. It's not super expensive. I think they're like typically around $400 each. So it's not a huge load on the Treasury and should benefit us greatly. So.
Thank you, Ross. Yeah, using YAM potentially as a collateral on UMA is a very good use case for YAM. It has the ability to unlock some of the value without selling the actual underlying token, kind of like what MakerDAO does for ETH and WBTC and all their assets. Using the Treasury to purchase additional ETH to provide liquidity on UGAS. This was floated last week. Basically, we've approved the proposal to do it, but we're going to wait until YDS is funded because there's only a certain amount of funds in the Treasury. We want to make sure that, number one, it's being allocated properly. Number two, the risk, that we're not overexposing our Treasury to too much risk. The Treasury is not, my account. It's not your account. It's YAM's account. So it is important that we do manage the risk so that, our drawdowns aren't significant and our upside might be tempered a little bit, but, general growth is what's important for our Treasury. Proposal to increase general expense fund. This is coming up soon. We'll be putting this up in the forums. Essentially, as we're onboarding more people, and we're expanding our processes and teams and, kind of everything that we're doing with YAM, from degenerative to umbrella to YDS to, new products. We need to make sure that we have funds available to pay contributors and other miscellaneous expenses. Of course, obviously, there will be transparency reports every month for those funds that are used. Last thing on upcoming is a contributor onboarding guide. We have figured out kind of what works for YAM as far as contributor compensations moving forward. Of course, it's always a work in progress. Things are subject to change as with everything in a DAO. The onboarding guide will give you a good idea of kind of what we have access or how the process works and what the expectations are. And we're going to obviously be using this for the 2 new contributors that are coming on board right now. Any questions as far as what's upcoming in governance? All right. Welcome, Asun. If you don't mind, unless you're speaking, if you can put yourself on mute, that would be great. Awesome. So moving forward, degenerative finance. So just a quick rundown with liquidity on the different contracts, January, February, March. As you guys know, we have put in our liquidity into February, and we have put in UMA has also put in their liquidity in February as well. So if you guys are trading or using or planning on minting and LPing, I would recommend you not to use January because there's only 2 days left. If you are minting soon, actually, I would recommend you mint March because then you don't have to remove and re-transfer to the new contract at the end of February. So there are a couple of items that we're trying to get approved on Zapper. So if you guys can go ahead and upvote these, that would be highly helpful. Go ahead and I put the links on Discord as well. New synths coming up. Some really, really cool things that we're working on. Some of it's not public yet. This one, UVol, BTC Volatility, and ETHVol. So this is a new synth that is not launched yet. It's in the works. We're looking at, correct me if I'm wrong, Bruce, it's April is the first month, March? April? It should be April.
Yeah, the first tokens will be April, May. So we'll probably be launching in about 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah. So these are volatility tokens. If you guys are familiar with the stock market, the VIX index is one of the highest traded indexes. Yeah, highest traded indexes on stocks, which basically is the volatility of the S&P 500. And I could be wrong, but this would be a synthetic that tracks the BTC volatility. Really cool stuff, really useful, potentially very useful. Of course, there's a chicken and egg problem where, we got to make sure we build out the infrastructure around it before it can be really useful. So that's what we'll be doing. More to come. We'll give you more synthetic news as it develops. Some updates to the website. 30-day median gas price dashboard. For the UGAS, as you guys know, it settles on the previous 30-day median gas on Ethereum. So knowing what that number is and knowing what it is rolling forward into the next months will give you a good idea of what the pricing is at. If it's far off target, if it's close to target, if you want to speculate on a future contract, like if you're speculating on January, you already know 28 days. The last 2 days of a 30-day moving average won't change it much at all. So by this time, the price should be very close to the 30-day moving average. February hasn't been started yet. So the price, will fluctuate more, but that's good for hedging and speculation. March even further. So this will be put up in this week by next week, next week's meeting, which will give you more insight into how to use and hedge UGAS. Additional website updates, copy, things along, just we're constantly updating. So if you guys have any suggestions or see any bugs, something that's not working properly, feel free to ping me, or there's also a bug submission form. Notification bots on large divergences of TWAP price versus 30-day median. This is for UGAS specifically, basically lets you know that the price that the token's trading at is much higher or lower than the 30-day median. Personal gas analysis tools. February will be done in February along with current positions page. So what these two are is personalized gas analysis tools will tell you what if you hook up your account to our degenerative website, it will tell you what your 30-day median was or some other numbers or statistics to show you kind of what value UGAS can bring to what you're currently doing or what you have been doing. So it's a really cool tool, kind of shows off the usage of UGAS, and this goes into some of the marketing initiatives that we're working on. Current position page just tells you your current positions. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up in quite a few different directions on degenerative, and everybody is working towards making this this pretty impressive. So do we have any questions on degenerative.finance? All right, very cool. Umbrella protocol update. Development post alpha continues. Contract audit is in process. Yep, pretty simple there. We're just waiting for the audit to finish and then any updates that need to be done after that. Once those changes or updates, if it needs to be re-audited, obviously should be re-audited. If it doesn't, then we will be moving towards a test or production or beta site, but to be determined, and more information will come as it's available. YDS update. Nate, do you have anything? If you can take it away, please.
Yeah, sure. So since last week, not a ton has happened on this, but last week we finished up the UI for the trade manager, and he is able to manage the set. Now, most likely this weekend, I'll be deploying the production contracts for this, which is very exciting. And as Fedis mentioned earlier, we currently have a snapshot up for funding, for the amount of funding to put in it. And then following that, we'll just have an on-chain proposal and it will be live, which is super exciting. And then also we have ongoing development of additional functionality for YDS, like LPing on Uniswap and SushiSwap, as well as staking and farming through things like Index and Yearn, stuff like that.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things going on with YDS. Once we get that up and running and basically all the functions testing, making sure that it's good to go. Again, our long-term goal, medium to long-term goal, is to market this product as a potential for other DAOs. So, you know, keep an ear on that. You know, as we move forward in any of this, and as we move forward on the in these calls, if you guys find yourself saying, hey, I'd like to work on that, let us know, because a lot of these things we are working on, but we always welcome more, and you know, more contributors to work on it together with us. So we've got the marketing and media section. Bruce, if you want to take that away.
Oh yeah, for sure. Regarding degenerative, for the past couple of weeks, we've been focusing on spreading awareness on UGAS and how UGAS and gas works on Ethereum, with that infographic with API vision. And now we're kind of shifting to a new phase where we're trying to push messaging towards how to stake your ETH with UGAS and earn 20 to 30% APY. Basically, you know, we're incentivizing users to create UGAS and provide liquidity, and for that you can earn UMA rewards. So so we have a bunch of tweets planned, imagery planned. The first one will probably go out in a couple hours, and followed by a Medium article. Basically, yeah, we're gonna just try to push this hard for the next couple of weeks. Another thing that we've been thinking about, a strategy proposed by Theo, is to go where the customers are. And we're working on like pitch decks for dashboards like Zapper and Zerion, to propose to them to integrate like a button on their sites to mint an LP UGAS. Basically, this could be something that's mutually beneficial, because if these dashboards do provide this interface, they will be eligible for UMA rewards as well, the developer mining rewards. So it's like they could gain, they'll be, you know, so it's a way for both platforms to benefit. We're also working on a pitch deck for YamDAO Set, basically, you know, branding YamDAO Set and making a document to propose to other DAOs to use this platform, basically like offloading their treasury management to us, so they can focus just on building. That's something that will be on the works, and we'll share with everyone for feedback soon. Oh yeah, and also here's some of our branding and imagery work for Yuval BTC on the screen. We'll probably do, you know, this is all just temporary stuff that we made. We'll probably do a logo contest as well for this, you know, to like, because the current UGAS logo contest has been so fun so far, so why not do another one for Yuval BTC. Jim, Chris, or Theo, do you guys want to jump in too?
We have some walkthrough videos coming up. Should be end of day today or tomorrow, but definitely by end of week, just going through the UGAS interface, how it works, just you know, kind of explaining everything. That way it's just a little bit simpler for people to check out and, you know, understand how to utilize everything. So that'll be coming down the line. And then also a little bit longer term, looking at some videos just to kind of help explain different like use cases for UGAS, how to you know, how to engage within different scenarios, whether you're trying to hedge, whether you're trying to speculate, that kind of thing.
So last week we talked about the introduction of the newsletter, and it's been launched. We now have the weekly brief, YAM Weekly Brief, which is obviously going to be updated weekly, includes a lot of information from this call. But there's also a Chinese version that's been launched, and Chris has an objective to create more localized versions of the various pieces of communication we do. So that'll happen over time. And then the monthly newsletter has actually been reconcepted to a quarterly, basically like a YAM zine, I'm calling it. So it's going to, while the brief fills in the must know, need to know YAM information on a weekly basis, the quarterly piece will be inspirational, big picture, vision oriented, and be much more visually oriented. So it's going to be a YAM brand piece, as well as we'll probably do community profiles in it and some other fun stuff. So anyway, that's coming up with our continued outreach and database building of email lists.
Awesome. Anybody have any questions or like to add anything? All right, very cool. So we do have a community question. Where is it? Hold on. If anybody else has anything. So from Peter, a question. What's the main solution that Umbrella is offering, and how has it contributed to YAM projects so far? So the main solution to Umbrella, if you guys, sorry, I didn't go over this earlier, it's our smart contract insurance or smart contract protection, similar to what you find with Nexus or Cover. It's to protect against smart contract bugs. The unique thing that we're doing with Umbrella, from what I understand, is that it's creating meta pools so that you're not only doing a one-to-one protection on one particular protocol. You can combine multiple protocols together so that your utilization of your, if you're providing protection, is higher versus, and if you want to buy protection, you would buy a single protection, or maybe the whole pool, depending on how it's structured. But it would have functions in it that can assign arbitrators, I can't say this word, but it would assign somebody to determine whether or not there was a hack or smart contract bug that affected the protocol. And this arbitrator would be able to gain fees. And it's a very composable system that we're building. So we're not just building a system for ourselves to use or for YAM to use, but also a system that other DeFi systems can build off of. One thing that was floated, for example, and this is just an idea that was floated, was that we build it into, so there are a lot of protocols such as Harvest or Pickle that have these vaults that hold quite a bit of funds in it. And we can build a wrapper around that pool of funds where if you deposit funds into it, part of your deposit goes into the insurance protocol, so that it protects you in case something happens to this fund specifically. Obviously, your returns would not be as high as if you were to get, if you were just a straight deposit without insurance, but at least it's protected. So it's an evolving space. There's no one particular protection protocol that has that covers it all. So it will be interesting to see what happens with this. If that answers your question. And then how has it contributed to YAM project so far? So the main person that's working on this is, of course, Brock, which is one of the founders of YAM. He contributed everything as well as Umbrella. So it's just one piece of the many parts of YAM ecosystem that we're developing. Anybody have anything to add or a question on that, Peter?
I've got a question. Just in terms of the YDS set, how is Krugman going to manage it? You know, with what risk tolerance, what assets is he going to be buying and selling? You know, what are the constraints of token sets? I'm just interested to know how he's going to manage it.
Sure, good question. So in some of the previous forum posts, it outlines kind of a general strategy, an investment strategy. We've detailed it down to like a beta correlation and a beta and a correlation of the fund. So essentially what that means is it measures systemic risk as well as correlation with the rest of the assets. So it will be weighted on that. It will be rebalanced based on those numbers. So if one thing goes out of whack, it gets rebalanced. And the assets that are going into it right now, it's going to be basically ETH, stablecoin, WBTC, just the main general like large cap stuff. Eventually, we'll be adding things like let's take the ETH and pair it with a stablecoin and farm with it. So it's still not that significant in terms of risk, high risk assets. Of course, crypto in itself is all very risky, but in higher risk than BTC or ETH. So we'll be sticking with those bigger ones primarily. Of course, we'll adjust as risk goes as we figure out and fine tune the beta and the correlation. And then as we move forward as well, the YAM token holders through governance basically decide on the strategy. So the most recent one is that we voted on a strategy of 3 out of 5, which is moderate. But again, like I said, crypto in itself is very high risk already. But we can adjust it and tailor it down to 1 to 5. If things aren't working or something's not seems right, we can always do another proposal, get it through governance, reevaluate it. So it's really open. Currently, though, it is like large cap assets.
Cool. Yeah, I think that answered my question. Thanks for this.
My pleasure.
If you go on the Discord, there's a YamDAO set channel, and some of the pinned tweets are Krugman answering that exact question. He's got some write-ups on there that are very helpful if you're still interested in some more info.
Perfect. I'll go take a look. Thanks.
Also, just to let you guys know, Krugman was originally one of the earlier contributors of YAM, but he also was the number 2 in assets under management at Token Sets already. So it was kind of cool. It was a marriage made in heaven, where he's already familiar with how like rebalancing assets, and he's been doing it for a while. His company that he owns is called Moonshot Capital, and so he's been doing this for a minute before he's even starting with this YDS, and he knows the system around YDS or token sets. He helped create some of the systems that we have in place now. Essentially, the way it works is that the difference between like me going on token sets to create a set, which I can actually do now, is that this YDS is managed by our governance system. So there are guardrails put in place where basically Krugman or another portfolio manager can't just go in and rug pull all the funds out of the token sets. So there's like an extra layer. Whereas normally in tokensets.com, I could just go in and click buttons and change around whatever allocations I wanted to. In this case, we built a wrapper around it with a manager contract, where the manager contract kind of controls what the limitations are for Krugman, just for our own protection, essentially. So we can reassign somebody to the set if we need to, whereas in token sets, you really can't do that yet. Basically, that's one of the functions that we added into it. But this is also a value add for our YDS as a product for us to market towards other DAOs. Any other questions? Does that clarify anything for you?
Yeah, I think that's everything.
Cool. All right. We're open to any community questions. Well, if there's none, then thank you guys for joining us this week. As every week, we'll be having one of these, updating you guys on what's going on. Every week has been jam-packed, full of new developments, changes, updates, and as I always say, this is a DAO. So if you guys want to participate, if you guys want to even do some of these calls or talk about certain things, let me know. While I know you guys love listening to me talk, my shiny head does get in the way sometimes. So if you guys have anything else, otherwise we will be signing off this evening.
Anyone who, if you wanted to stay up to date on all things Yam, make sure you're following us on Twitter. If you want to go an extra step further, make sure you subscribe to the Substack newsletter. And then, just hang out in our Discord and participate. We're a high participation DAO, so we love any and all contributions.
Yep, 100%. Vote. Make sure you guys go on Snapshot, vote. There are some quirks to Snapshot. If you guys have any questions where things are not showing up properly, just let us know. Make sure you delegate your vote to yourself or activate your voting. You have to activate it. It's not automatically activated. The way you activate it is by going to yam.finance and then clicking on the Govern tab on the top there. All right, thank you, folks. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, catch you guys later.
Yeah, later, guys.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye now.